Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the mind of Guillermo del Toro.
Ooh, interesting.
Specifically, his views on AI and how it's impacting animation.
Oh, how timely.
We'll be pulling from his recent conversation with the BFI, the one about his new Pinocchio film.
Right, and the upcoming Frankenstein one, too.
Exactly.
Can't wait for that one.
Me too. I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah.
And I know AI is something you've been thinking a lot about lately.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think Del Toro's perspective, especially as such a passionate advocate for stop motion, will really give you something to chew on.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's such a fascinating contrast, isn't it? You have Del Toro, this filmmaker, who is all about that tangible world, the handcrafted, the stop motion.
Yeah.
And then you have him talking about AI, something that can feel almost intangible, even a little spooky, maybe.
Yeah, and well, he doesn't shy away from that at all.
No, he does not.
He's deeply concerned about AI and its potential to really shake up, maybe even damage the soul of animation. He sees it as a tool that's often used to cut costs and push artists out instead of empowering them.
Yeah, it's interesting because he uses this really striking analogy to get his point across.
Oh, right. Tell me about
Yeah, he compares AI to a monkey wrench.
that. Okay.
Like, it's helpful for certain jobs, for sure,
Right.
but you wouldn't ask a monkey wrench to build an entire garage.
That's a great analogy.
It is, right?
Yeah.
I think it gets right to the heart of what he's saying. Like,
Right.
we're so focused on how efficient AI can be
Right.
that we're forgetting about the artistic vision, the creativity that really makes animation what it is.
Yeah, and what I find interesting is that he isn't just rejecting AI completely.
No, not at all.
He's acknowledging what it can do,
Mm,
but he's urging us to think carefully about how we use it.
yeah.
He wants it to work alongside human creativity, to make it better, not replace it completely.
Absolutely. And this is where his love for stop motion really comes in.
Right.
I mean, it's a medium that celebrates those imperfections, those little quirks and what he calls mistakes that give those characters that life,
Right, he calls it the mystery win.
Yeah, exactly. That element of chance, that spontaneity you just can't get from an algorithm.
I love that, the mystery wind.
It's perfect, isn't it?
It is.
And he sees those imperfections as key to how art impacts us emotionally. Like, he compares AI-generated images to a screensaver.
Oh, wow.
Maybe technically impressive, sure, but ultimately they don't have the same depth, the same resonance as something made by human hands.
Right, yeah, I get that.
He even compares AI to Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah, both are surrounded by hype, but we still don't really know what they'll mean in the long run.
Interesting.
And I think he's worried that we might be rushing into using AI everywhere without thinking about the downsides, especially when it comes to something as nuanced as art.
Yeah, I mean, this is where his anxieties really hit home for me.
Oh, tell me more.
It's not just about people losing jobs. It's about how we understand and value art,
Yeah,
If AI can make really sophisticated animation,
yeah.
what happens to that human element, that emotional connection, that unique artistic vision? Those are the things that make animation so powerful.
You're right. So is he saying we're headed for some dystopian future?
Well, is he?
Where algorithms are churning out soulless cartoons
Yeah.
and artists are just sitting around with nothing to do?
Like, is that what he's saying?
Not necessarily. I think he's raising a flag, encouraging us to have a real conversation about AI and art,
Okay.
to ask ourselves, what do we want the future of animation to look like?
Yeah.
And how can we use what AI can do while still protecting that human touch that makes animation so captivating?
He's definitely not just sitting back and complaining about it, though.
Oh, no, not at all.
He's taking action to protect stop motion, to make sure human creativity is still at the heart of animation.
Yeah, he's walking the walk.
He's building studios, giving out scholarships, and choosing stop motion for his own films.
Exactly.
It's a real commitment to making sure the art form stays alive and well.
And it's not just about keeping a technique alive, it's about supporting a certain kind of storytelling too, right?
Right.
He believes animation is for everyone, not just for kids.
Yeah.
He wants to see more mature themes, stories that are more complex, that really engage audiences no matter how old they are.
It makes me think of his comment about emotional and existential pornography.
Oh, yeah.
He's not a fan of simple stories or avoiding tough subjects.
No, he wants animation to have the same depth, the same emotional power as live-action filmmaking.
Exactly. And that's where his work on Pinocchio and even his upcoming Frankenstein adaptation become even more interesting in light of this AI discussion.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's dive into that. What's he doing with Pinocchio and Frankenstein that speaks to his views on AI?
Well, both stories, in their own ways, really wrestle with this idea of creation, of playing God, and what can happen when you don't think about the consequences.
Right.
You can almost see a parallel, right, between Victor Frankenstein's ambition and our own drive to push AI as far as it can go,
Yeah.
without always stopping to consider the ethical and artistic implications.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like food for thought.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, and there's a kind of irony there, isn't there? Del Toro, the master of creating these fantastical creatures, exploring the dark side of humanity, and he's the one warning us about the monsters we might make with technology.
it's like he's saying AI is the newest monster in his collection,
Yeah,
one we need to handle very carefully.
and maybe with a little bit of skepticism, too.
Oh, right. Because remember how he compared AI to Bitcoin?
Yeah.
All that hype?
Mm-hmm.
But we're still not sure what it all really means.
Exactly. He seems to be saying, let's not get too caught up in the excitement without thinking about what could go wrong.
So where does that leave us? If Del Toro's right and we're at this crossroads with AI and art, what do we do? Just sit back and watch the robots take over.
He wouldn't want that. He's a man of action.
Right.
He doesn't just critique, he offers solutions.
Yeah.
Remember, he's building studios, he's supporting young animators, he's choosing stop motion for his own films.
Yeah, he's putting his money where his mouth is.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, if you want to see the kind of animation that puts human creativity first, the kind that embraces imperfections and tells complex stories, then support it, champion it, choose it.
I like that.
Yeah.
And that choice, that decision to seek out and support art that speaks to our humanity, that might be the best way to fight back against the dehumanizing effects of AI.
Right.
You know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
We've been talking about Del Toro's concerns, his anxieties about AI, but underneath it all, there's this real love for animation,
Yes.
this belief in its power to connect with us emotionally.
Absolutely. And that's what makes his perspective so fascinating, right? He's not just a critic, he's a passionate advocate. He sees how beautiful animation is, how much potential it has, and he wants to protect that, even as technology keeps changing.
And that brings us back to you and why this deep dive is so relevant.
Right.
You're really engaged with AI, and Del Toro's perspective adds a whole new dimension. It's not just about what AI can technically do, it's about the soul of the art form.
And it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Can AI create art that truly moves us? Art that reflects the complexities of being human?
Right.
Or will it always just be a tool, a means to an end, not the driving force behind real artistic expression?
That's a big question, and one that Del Toro seems to be grappling with in his own work.
Oh, for sure.
Think about Pinocchio, a classic story about a puppet who wants to be human.
Right.
It's almost a metaphor for this whole AI debate.
You're right. The puppet, made by human hands, wanting something more, something beyond its artificial nature. It makes you think, is Del Toro using Pinocchio to explore these very questions about AI, about creativity, about what it means to be human?
That's a great point.
Isn't it?
And then there's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Another story about creation, ambition, and the unintended consequences of playing God.
All right.
It's as if Del Toro is drawing a parallel between Victor Frankenstein's hubris and our fascination with pushing AI to its limits.
And maybe warning us about what could happen if we're not careful.
Yeah.
Just like Frankenstein's creation turned against him,
Right.
could our pursuit of AI dominance end up hurting human creativity? The very thing that makes art meaningful.
Yeah, it's like he's holding up this mirror, making us look at our own anxieties about technology and how it affects our humanity.
And that's what's so great about Del Toro's work, isn't it? He takes these big, complex ideas and he turns them into stories that are both entertaining and make you think.
Right.
He makes us think, he makes us feel, and he leaves us with questions that stick with us.
So what does all this mean for someone like you? You're really into AI.
Right.
How do we balance Del Toro's warnings with the potential of this technology?
It's a tough one, for sure.
Yeah.
I think Del Toro would say it's about being both excited and cautious about AI. Embrace what it can do to help us be more creative, but never forget that human element, that artistic vision that should always be at the center of animation.
Using AI as a tool, a partner, not letting it take over.
Exactly. And maybe if we keep having these conversations, keep questioning and challenging the role of AI in art,
Yeah.
we can make sure it helps us be more creative, not less.
It's about making choices like Del Toro is with his own projects.
Right.
Choosing to support artists, to tell stories that matter, to engage with art that reflects who we are.
And in the end, it's about remembering that art, real art, comes from the human spirit. It's about connection, emotion, the unique perspectives that we bring to creating things.
Right.
That's something AI can't copy, no matter how smart it gets.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Del Toro's thoughts on AI and animation, I'm left feeling hopeful and with a new appreciation for human creativity.
Me too, and I think the takeaway for you is this. Explore AI, see what it can do,
Yeah,
but never forget that the heart of art is that human touch.
that's a great place to end. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.